Hey everyone, Snowflakey here today with a new Master Duel deck profile. This is a deck I've been playing for the past week or so. This is my Evolsaur deck. Evolsaurs are something I've just recently come across because I've always been a big fan of dinosaur cards and dinosaur play styles. Really liked, and I was really craving something with Evolsaur, Lagia, and Dolka, so I was trying to come up with like a modern Dino Rabbit build. And by dumping gems in the packs, I of course pulled all my Lagias and Dolkas, but I also pulled pretty much the entirety of the Evolzor stuff. So I figured I'd give it a hand. This trap card I saw seemed pretty crazy, and so I figured we could probably make something work. So with that said, let's get into the card by card. Starting with our monsters, I am playing 3 copies of Evoltile Mega Chirilla. This is the only of the Evoltiles I am playing in this deck, which are the reptiles. For those of you who don't know, the theme of this deck is there's these little Evoltile reptiles that evolve into the Evolsaur dinosaurs, and then they evolve into the Evolzar dragons. So, but the only reptile we're playing is this one. This one is the one that kind of gets everything going. Tribute a reptile monster, which does include self, then discard 1 card to special summon a level 6 or lower fire dinosaur monster from your deck. Now that is all your Evolzor main deck monsters, which is pretty cool. Uh, so that's a pretty good effect. Just pulls an Evolzor out of the deck, and usually the Evolzors have effects when they're special summoned by Evotile monsters. And of course, you can when this card is in your graveyard, you can target 1 Dragon XZ monster you control with no material and attach up to 2 reptile and/or dinosaur monsters with different names from your hand and/or graveyard to that monster as material. So that's pretty cool. That means when you use up your Lagia or your Dolka or even your Solda, who we are playing in this deck, we can put the materials back. And that's kind of one of the things that pushes this deck into really playable status is the Volzors could be very disruptive. So if you can get that first turn disruption, get them to pass, then you just restock them. You're usually set from there. Our target that we usually always want to be summoning with this is Evolzor Volcano. When this is special summoned by the effect of an Evoltile monster, you can target an Evolsaur monster in your graveyard and special summon it. It cannot declare an attack, so this is a 4-star dino, and all the other ones that we're going to be playing are 4-star dinos. So essentially, once this card hits the field, thanks to this card, we have our 2 materials to make our first Evolzor XZ. Next, I'm playing Evolzor Serato, mostly just filler space in here. The rest of the Evolzors are mostly just for us to get into the grave and special summon off of Volcano. Serato is pretty nice though because it's a 1900 attacker, so that comes in handy. Um, and of course, when it's special summoned by a volatile monster, it gains 200 attack, and this was special summoned by the effect of a volatile monster. Each time this card destroys a monster by battle, you can add any volatile monster from your deck to your hand. So, something you can do there, maybe something you can go into if you don't have a volcano play ready to go. You can get yourself set up for another one. And but mostly here for the 1900 attack. If you didn't pull this one, I wouldn't bother crafting it. I would just play some other 4 junk one. The other one of choice is Evolzor Diplo, which has 1600 attack, which is decent. And of course, when this card is summoned by the effect of a volatile monster, target a spell or trap your opponent controls and destroy it. So that's just nice, way to pop spell and trap cards. And I figure, that makes it a good target because it's still level 4 and can go into the XEs. And of course, we could just summon this one off of the lizard if we really needed a spell and trap card destroyed. So pretty cool. Next, I'm playing 2 Dogmatica Ecclesia, the Virtuous. This one's pretty nice because once we've committed to our XZ play, we don't have to worry too much about summoning more from the extra deck. And, the Dogmatica package is just a nice little play extender that doesn't take up a lot of deck space but gets you a lot more. Dogmatica Punishment could be real strong, especially when we could fill our targets with it. So Ecclesia is just nice. We can special summon this monster if an extra deck monster is on the field. Why it makes a good extender, because as soon as you have your Evolzor, you can't special summon it, which is pretty nice. And you add a Dogmatica card from your deck to your hand, which is Dogmatica Punishment. Very strong card we'll talk about in a bit. Or we can even add our next card, Dogmatica Fleur de Lis, which is pretty nice. This card can, of course, be special summoned if an extra deck if a extra deck monster is special summoned to the field. And of course we can special summon this card if we control another Dogmatica monster. So this one's pretty cool. We can target a face-up monster on the field until the end of this turn. and negate its effects. And then when our Dogmatica monster is declared attack, including it, all Dogmatica monsters gain 500 attacks. So that means once he attacks, he's 3,000, so he's a free 3,000 body, can negate a face-up effect. Pretty good to have. And yeah, it just lets the deck go a little further, and then you don't mind if you're locking yourself out of your extra deck on your follow-up turn, because it's the first turn that counts. And that is it for the monster cards. Moving on to spells. Spells are mostly just getting our Evolzors online. We have 3 copies of Fossil Dig, which I had gotten from my Dino deck, so it was very nice to have this already. These are mostly just so that we can get one of the Evolzor monsters. We ideally want to have an Evolzor to discard for Evoltile Megacharilla's effect. And Fossil Dig just gets us anyone we want, namely Cerato or Diplo if we're discarding it. Next, we're running 3 Evo Diversity, great searcher for the archetype, adds an Evotile or Evolzor monster from the deck to our hand. A great way to get Evoltile Megacharilla if we don't have it, because this deck really wants to get this card, which is pretty sweet. And but if we have Megacharilla and we need a dino, it can also search our dino that we're discarding, and that makes it pretty awesome. Additionally, I'm playing 3 copies of Piri Rise Map. This card is nice because Megacharilla's got 0 attack and 0 defense. So Piri Rise Map can add a monster with 0 attack from the deck to our hand, but have our life points. And then, of course, after adding it into the hand until the end of the turn, next turn after this card was activated, you cannot activate the added monster's effects or the effects of cards with the same name until you normal summon that monster. That's fine. We're very happy to spend our normal summon on it. So this card, at the start of main phase 1 can just get us Megacharilla. So between all these options, we usually have a way to get to Megacharilla, even if there's an Ash, and we can open multiple of these. So, and you really need Megacharilla to get things going. So, that is our Evo searchers. And then last week, we're playing our 1 copy of Nadir's Servant. Definitely hurts the Dogmatica package having this card only at 1, but still perfectly fine. We sent a monster from our extra deck to the graveyard, then add a Dogmatica monster or Fallen of Albaz from the deck to your hand that has attack less than or equal to the sent monster in the grave. So we got some good targets to send. Natis, a copy of Titaniclad, Fossil Warrior, Skull Knight, all good stuff. Mainly as a way to add Ecclesia so that we can summon Ecclesia, get Dogmatica punishment. You can grab Fleur if you need it, but usually if we're grabbing off Nadir's Servant, we're going to grab Ecclesia for the Dogmatica punishment play. So, that's pretty cool. The only thing to note is after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck, so make sure you wait until after you have your Evolzors on the field, all the ones that you're going to get, to play this card. And that's it for the spells. Next up, we're going to talk about trap cards. Evo Singularity. This is the trap card that made me decide that it might be worthwhile to play this deck. A pretty cool normal trap that they gave this deck, and it targets an Evoltile monster and an Evolzor monster in your graveyard. Special summon an Evolzor XZ monster from your extra deck, and if you do, attach those monsters to it as material. So this is pretty cool. Once you have done your Evoltile Megacharilla's effect, as soon as you and go into your Evolzor monster. As soon as you've used its effect and got some materials, this card comes online and you can activate it immediately to summon another Evolzor that you want, Dolka, Lagia, or even Solda, which another reason I kind of thought it'd be fun to play this deck is because it actually allows us to use Evolzor Solda, which normally isn't really usable in any other way. So that's pretty cool, and so just gives us a free Evolzor monsters, and the Evolzors are so disruptive that this is definitely worth it. A normal trap card also means that it is trap trickable, which we are playing 3 copies of. It's a trap card that banishes a normal trap, except trap trick to set 1 card with the same name directly from the deck, and it can be activated this turn. Now we can only activate 1 trap card for the rest of the turn, but usually that's fine, because if that trap card is something like Evo Singularity, we can make a monster that can negate 2 monster effects or destroy 2 special summon monsters as soon as they hit the field. So it's very cool stuff. Next, I'm playing 2 copies of Lost Wind, which is another good target for trap trick here. Target a face-up special summon monster on the field, negate its effect. Also, its original attack is halved. This is mostly nice for getting around something our opponent may summon that's big, if we've already burned our abilities to destroy it with things like Solda. And of course, when a monster is summoned from your opponent's extra deck while this card's in the graveyard, set this card but banish it when it leaves the field. Cool. Next, I'm playing 2 copies of Heavy Storm Duster, also trap trickable, and a decent card for Master Duel because trap cards and Ballon trap card decks are more prominent on Master Duel in the best of one. So we can use our Harry Storm Duster, of course, to target up to 2 spells and traps on the field, destroy them, in exchange for a battle phase, which normally isn't a big deal because we're playing it on our opponent's turn most of the time. Just a pretty good card. If, the floodgate decks go away, the back row decks go away, you can sub this out for something else. Next, I'm playing a copy of Infinite Impermanence. This is just because Master Duel gives you that really accessible one in the cheap pack. And, it's a good card to have. If I had 3, I might max out on this instead of Lost Wind because it's also trap trickable. But I like the Lost Wind utility, and it's a rare, so. But Infinite Impermanence is still nice to have. Target a face-up monster your opponent controls, negate its effect, then if this card was set before activation is on the field, for the rest of the turn, spell and trap effects in the column are negated. So that's pretty cool. Just our hand trap turns off effects. You know what it does. It's a good card. Next, I'm playing 2 copies of Dogmatica Punishment. If we had more copies of Nadir's Servant, I'd probably play this at 1 because it would be more easily searchable. But at 2, we could search it off Trap Trick in a desperate situation. And, we're not too upset to resolve 2 of this card. It's just not always possible. So Dogmatica Punishment is nice. We target a face-up monster our opponent controls. Send a monster with equal or higher attack from the extra deck to the grave. And if you do, destroy that monster. Until the end of your next turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck, which is something you do have to keep in mind. And we can only activate it once per turn. So lots of great targets we can send, like Natis and Fossil, Warrior Skull Knight, and Titaniclad. All cards that when they're sent are going to give us bonus effects, like popping a card, popping a monster on another turn, searching a Dogmatica card at the end of the turn. So just lots of cool things you can do with that, which makes this a cool card. And last, I'm playing 3 Solemn Judgment just to pay half my life points to negate a summon or a spell or trap card activation and destroy that card. That all is pretty good. Very happy to have that because if we have like a Dolka on board, having a Solemn Judgment to protect Dolka is very nice because we got monster effects unlocked, but we don't necessarily have the answer to that Raigeki or Lightning Storm they may play. Well, Solemn Judgment just gives extra protection. Something like that with Solda is just really nice. We're going to be very disruptive at that point, and so Solemn Judgment is just a good addition to have. And that's it for the main deck. Going into our extra deck, we're starting off with our Dogmatica Punishment targets. 2 Elder Entity Natis, which is a 2500 attack monster. Pretty strong attack for Dogmatica Punishment. And when this card is sent to the graveyard, target a card on the field and destroy it. So when we send it with Dogmatica Punishment, we're destroying a monster on the field, and then immediately Natis is going to activate and destroy another card. So additional advantage, pretty sweet. Next, we're playing 2 Fossil Warrior Skull Knight. This one is in here because it's got 2400 attack, still pretty solid. And of course, we can banish this card from our graveyard on our turn, target a monster on the field, and destroy it. So that follow-up utility makes it a good additional target to have. And last, for the Dogmatica targets, I'm playing 1 Titaniclad. This one is just nice because if this card is sent to the graveyard this turn, during the end phase, we can special summon a Dogmatica monster or Fallen of Albaz from our deck. We can also add it to our hand instead. So plenty of good options to have. Next, I'm playing 3 Evolzor Lagia. You can make Evolzor, so we're going into them. 3 might be a bit overkill. I think I just have 3 in here because I don't have too many other good rank 4s to fill the space, and I'm considering maxing out on Solda in the last spot and maybe playing some Pot of Extravagance just to get more cards, something I've entertained. But Lagia is just nice. It requires 2 level 4 dinosaur monsters, so of course our Evolzors can make it. And when a monster would be normal or special summon or a spell trap is activated, detach 2 to negate the summon or the activation and destroy the card. So it's just Solemn Judgment. We can play Lagia, Solemn a card, and then as soon as we Solemn a card, if we have Evo Singularity and those materials are ready to become maybe another Lagia or another Dolka, and then of course if we have Mega Chirilla in the grave, then we can give Lagia another negate. Just lots of cool stuff, so it's a pretty good card. Next, I'm playing 3 Dolka, requires 2 level 4 dinosaur type monsters, and when another monster's effect is activated, you can detach a material, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy the monster. What's cool about this is compared to a lot of negation effects, these are not hard once per turns, so Dolka can negate 2 monster effects, and that's what makes this card really good. Same thing is to be noted about Lagia. If you put materials back on it on the same turn or summon another one, you can use its negation again, which is pretty cool. Next, I got a Silent Honor Arc, which is pretty cool. Level 4 XZ. We detach 2 materials. Target a special summon monster opponent controls and attach it to this card as a material. Then if this face-up card would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can detach a material from it instead. So pretty cool. Snatches up a monster, something that's annoying to remove. Next, I got a Dark Rebellion XZ Dragon, detach 2 materials. Target a face-up monster opponent controls. Its attack becomes half its current attack, and if it does, this card gains that lost attack. So, way to get over any big monster that may be walling us. Next, a Time Thief Redoer, pretty good. 2 level 4 monsters, once per turn during the standby phase, attach the top card of your opponent's deck to this card, which is pretty sweet, especially if you get a key combo piece or something that they really didn't want to lose. And then, quick effect, you can attach up to 3 different types of materials from this card and apply the following effects depending on what type was banished. So if it's a monster, you banish this card until the end of the draw phase, keeps it alive. If it's a spell, you draw a card. If it's a trap, you place a face-up card your opponent controls on top of their deck. So all great effects to have. If you can get the 3 trifecta, get all effects, that is pretty sweet. And last, I'm playing my 1 copy of Evolsaur. This is the one that requires 2 level 6 dinosaur type monsters, so this one can only be made with our Evo Singularity. But this one is nice. This card cannot be destroyed by card effects while it has XZ material, and while your opponent special summons a monster, you can detach an XZ material from this card to destroy that monster or monsters. So pretty cool card. Evo Singularity gives us a way to play this, and that's really sweet. I've always thought this is a sweet card that's just unfortunately always been highly unplayable, but Evo Singularity allows us to summon it with ease, and definitely one of the most fun parts about this deck is being able to actually use this card. And that is it for the extra deck. So here's a replay to see the duel in action. We are going first here against our opponent, who's playing a Cyber Dragon, Cyber Dark deck, which is a deck I see a fair amount in Master Duel, given the accessibility and, of course, just the popularity of the archetype in general. Looking at our starting hand, it's pretty good. We got a Solemn Judgment, a Heavy Stormduster, an Evo Singularity, and we got the Evo Diversity to get into our Evo tile. The only problem with this is this one definitely loses to Ash, which is kind of a problem this deck has in general, why I recommend it only for, ranking up through gold. Once you get to platinum, probably got to play something better. But, if they don't have Ash, this hand will be good. So let's get the game going. We're going to play our Evo Diversity. Unfortunately, we don't have anything to try to bait it out. Now, they don't have Ash, which is very fortunate, or they're holding it, well disciplined. To, just Ash the Mega Chirilla itself, which is a good thing to do, but this allows us to go into our Mega Chirilla. We have Mega Chirilla and a Dino to discard for it, so we're going to discard Diplo, pull Volcano right out of the deck. Volcano is going to get its effect, summon us back Diplo. We have our 2 level 4s. Because I have Solemn Judgment, I'm going to go into Dolka, because I have a monster effect. I have some ways to protect it, and I even have Evo Singularity to summon a new one if Dolka gets removed. So we pass to our opponent. They're going to start by playing Cyber Emergency, add a Cyber Dragon Core. Cyber Dragon Core is going to be normal summoned. I'm just going to burn a Dolka effect, get rid of this, and destroy the card. And immediately, in case they want to start special summoning, since I see it's a Cyber Dragon deck, I'm going to play Evo Singularity and get my Solda on the field, giving me a monster negate and 2 destructions of special summon monsters, which will be handy. So they play Triple Tack Talent, which is pretty powerful. If I let this go off, take control of 1 monster your opponent controls until the end phase. I definitely don't want that to happen, so I'm going to burn my Solemn Judgment here on that protection. But yeah, this card would have hosed me if I didn't have Solemn, which is why I like the 3 Solemn. Continuing right along, they're going to play Cyber Dark Realm. Since this is a continuous card, and I feel like I already kind of have them on the ropes, I'm just going to burn my Heavy Stormduster right away and pop this so they don't get to add the Cyber Dark monster. They're going to set 1 card, which, of course, is not a big deal. I'm going to have Trap Trick, which is nice. This can be another copy of Evo Singularity. I'm going to attack with my 2 monsters. Their back row isn't any battle trap or anything, so I'm safe there. And of course, Trap Trick into Lagia will be quite powerful here. So we're going to see what my opponent does. They're going to use Cyber Dragon Core. I'm going to let that go because I know Solda will pop the monster right away. Now they're going to play Cyber Emergency, add a Light Machine to their hand. It's Cyber Dragon Core. Cyber Dragon Core is coming down. They know it's not going to work because I got Dolka, and they're going to scoop and give the game. And that's kind of how it goes. So that is it for my Evolzor deck profile. I enjoyed this deck quite a bit. I love dinosaur type monsters, but I had missed kind of the modern dino strategy, doesn't make as many uses of Lagia and Dolka. You might summon one and get their effects off, but I really like what this deck can provide as far as summoning the Evolzors and constantly using them, using their effects, and then just regenerating their materials. It's really cool and powerful enough to definitely net some wins playing up in Master Duel as long as you don't get ashed. I also really like that it plays Evolzor Solda, so I really like just the way this deck is centered around the Evolzor's Xyz itself, unlike modern Dino strategy. So it's just good to have the option, and it makes a very fun deck to play. So let me know what you think. Have you ever played Evolzors, and do you like the Evolzor Xyz as much as I do? I appreciate y'all checking out the video, and we'll catch you in the next one.